mind standing in the pledge? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Everybody would please silence their phones. I need to do myself. All right. The purpose of tonight's special meeting is we are having a public hearing for the village to apply for a Restore New York Round 6 in regards to the circus house. So at this time, is there anybody from the public that would like to speak either for or against the village moving forward with this grant?
My turn.
That is your cat.
Hugh.
Yeah.
Well, obviously, as the town and village historian, I've been for some time championing the idea of saving that building. And as one who has lived here all my life, I've seen it used for other purposes. When I was a child, my parents would stop in there for Tracy's Bakery and Restaurant. And I see the road has gotten wider and creeping up to the front of the place now. And you can almost drive by and pull off pieces of the wood. And I'm being sick of seeing that happen. I'm hoping you have my endorsement. I'm hoping that we can get some funding to save this place. Every community, of course, is unique in some way. And I think the circus house is one of those that historically renders our community to be unique. And it's part of our identity as to who we are. There's 3 points about this that I'd like to make. First one, probably Russ can talk about better than I, and that's the architecture. I mean, let's face it, it's got 8 sides. It's an octagon. It's an octagonal structure. And I don't think it's, I would say, it's fairly rare in New York State. That others do exist, but that is one that's got some real history behind it. And it's one our village can claim out of 2. We have 2 octagonal structures, one on Clinton Street and the circus house. That really makes us quite special, quite historically unique. The second point is just the history of the place. You know, if that building comes down, the history still remains as long as we cherish it and document it. I mean, just imagine over 100 years ago, there must have been something really thrilling about a circus coming to town. Do they exist anymore? I don't think so. And perhaps something even more enthralling about a circus that's coming to your community to spend the winter. Such must have been the case for young people in Homer in the 1890s, when Sig Sautel, or George Satterley, as his real name was, came parading down Main Street. Imagine this, down our Main Street, with cavorting clowns, bareback riders, trapeze artists, tumblers, high wire performers, exotic animals. Records show that the circus had 225 people employed. That's quite a payroll. Boasted 2 elephants, of which rumor has it some are buried down in what used to be Contento's junkyard, but I think that's more urban myth than anything else. But I do know of a case where one elephant went rogue and they had to be dispensed with, and I suspect they had to be buried someplace, unless they just threw it in the river. I doubt that. 14 cages of animals, 150 horses, ponies, for 25 cents, which was good money in those days. For 25 cents, one could enjoy one of 2 performances per day in one ring. You never went to the 2 or 3 ring circus. And at one point, the tent was set up for local performances at the corner of Cortlandt Street and Copeland Avenue. And then starting in 1900, some of the performers and animals would take up headquarters for the winter months at not 1, not 2, there were 3 red painted octagon shaped buildings and other structures and tents at the south end of Main Street. That one remains out of the 3, if we can save it. And notice it wasn't far from the railroad tracks, because Sig finally made use for his traveling circus of the railway. Circus employees. Imagine the circus employees filled up the Windsor Hotel. You know where the Windsor Hotel was located? You know, here, on the site. This is where the Windsor Hotel was located. And he didn't exactly buy it. He swapped it. And Rouse here can clarify this for me. I think he made a swap between a hotel in DeRuyter that he owned and this one. So they just swapped hotels. He ended up with the one on this particular site for his employees and their children who attended the academy on the green. I've actually seen a picture from the early 1900s, and on the back it says most of the children are the employees of Six Hotels Traveling Service. So with all these influences, I don't see how a local Homer boy could resist contemplating running away with the circus come spring, after having it here for winter. The third point I'd like to make is on Sawtell himself. He had a reputation as a man of integrity in an age where traveling circuses were viewed as camp followers in the same league as prostitutes and pickpockets and lowlife. But he didn't seem to do anything to lower himself or his employees to that level. He was viewed by the Homer community, as an outstanding businessman. They accepted him and his employees. He put Homer on the map for a while as a circus community. And I think I've made my 3 points. I hope others can jump in and fill in the gaps. But I endorse every effort this village makes, try to save the circus house.
Thank you, Martin. Russ Starr, President of the Landmark Society.
Just one addition to what Martin said. The design of the circus house is octagonal design, but it wasn't modeled after other octagonal buildings in the county, at least. Orson Fowler was the architect in the 1840s that innovated the idea of an octagonal structure that would allow light into the building from the top or cupola. This building, the circus house building, actually was designed to look like a tent. So there was no indication of the intermingling of the two ideas at all. They're very separate, which actually makes the circus house building more significant because it could be one of a kind. Because I'm not aware of another building that's octagonal that was actually designed with the intent of looking like a circus tent. So to me, it makes it even more unique and worth saving. So I'll throw that in.
Okay. Anybody else? Yes, Charlie.
I've done a complete 3-ring notebook on the circus house. Even the diagrams of the rooms, the sizes and everything, the metal ceiling. In there is a lot of pictures of the way it used to be. I also, in there, is a picture of Tom Knobel's grandfather, who had a barbershop on Main Street. But when he wasn't barbering, he was out painting the circus wagon out front. Showed it to him. Picture showing good. I've given all this stuff to Kim Colley for her 2 architects that were here going through the building. She's had it before and gone through it. It even has the color layout. Apparently at one time we did paint scraping on the building and we found a different paint. I said to her, do anything but the purple. Do not put that purple on that building. She also has in the basement, well, many things, but in the basement she had, these were later cutouts of animals that used to go along the fence in the back. Now she claims they're still there. So that would be something that could be hopefully restored and the animals would go along the fence. The other day when I was talking to her, she thought there was a back porch on it, on the back of the building. Everything shows that pictures that I've got of where they took the animals in to do in the winter, I guess, in the basement. There's a lean-to thing on the back of the roof. And the pictures that I've got some early pictures that I picked up over the years. But it's a complete notebook, and there's probably 50 pages of everything. I talked about all the people that work for the circus. It shows pictures of them. all the different articles that I've gotten, the whole book, she's got it. It belongs to the History Center, or the Landmark Society History Center. So I'm 100% behind it. And she claims that there's gonna be an office downstairs, and then he's going to do, I guess, space upstairs for other people to have office space, as long as she doesn't damage that metal ceiling. But there are some extra pieces to that in the basement, which she knows about, that her father apparently had taken down for some reason or other. But hopefully that can be filled in.
Thank you, Charlie. All right, anybody else would like to speak before I close the public portion of the public hearing?
I'm just curious,
Yeah.
after restoration, what's the end result of what's the function of the building gonna be?
Dan,
Commercial on the bottom and residencies on top.
Commercial, so like retail space or
So
museum?
some sort, yep. And then a couple apartments on top.
Okay, cool.
The other point I'd like to make is that its location is right where the former Cortland corridor is, that's being contemplated for development for a river trail and so forth. I mean, it just could be such a spectacular centerpiece.
Information center.
Yeah, whatever.
well, the village has been working constructively along that with a linear park and doing efforts to rejuvenate that area. So that structure would definitely be a part of it. Yeah. Okay.
The building would be owned by the village though,
No, the village is privately owned.
village,
So the village fronts some money for the grant.
yeah,
And then the grant and the building owner work together with oversight.
Mhm.
And then that allows the homeowner utilizing that grant money to do the renovations necessary.
okay,
The outlay for the village, I believe, is $500
For the
for
application.
the application,
And for the grant itself, we're just a pass.
right?
We help do oversight for.
So, right, the money would come, like Dan was saying, we become the oversight, the money comes through the village. And then to the homeowner, but it costs the residents itself nothing but the $500 grant that we're applying for.
What is the owner's position on all this?
The owner would like to do something, but as you, yes, but as you can see from the structure, it needs a bit of work.
She did put a roof on.
Yep, she did put a roof on it, and but without this grant, the ability to actually do any meaningful restoration would probably not be possible.
Because there's a lot of clapboards that are in bad shape that need to be replaced. The two big windows that Tracy put in need to be taken out and put back originally to the rest of the building. And there's a whole list of stuff. The heating system.
And with the Restore New York, there are oversights for the historic portion to make sure that it doesn't veer off, shall we say.
That's what I was about to ask.
If you were looking for something that the Theater Opera House was a Restore New York, correct, Dan?
Yes, it was. And
So-
a New York Main Street grant.
Yeah, right, two of them.
It seems to me it's so unique to have a building that visually so represents the personality of the historic figure. That you're trying to. It's a pretty unique feature. You just see his personality in the striking appearance of the building.
See him up in the cupola with a cigar and
That was the smoking room.
Yeah.
He's like that. He's more than-
As kids, we used to play in all the buildings out back. The Contento had for storage and stuff. There was a lot of buildings where the animals and things were kept. So I know all those buildings well, because we used every weekend we were there.
So this is the last building of that compound.
The last one.
Has there been any consideration to make it a designated historical site with a Pomeroy sign or kiosk to explain the importance of it?
Well, in due time, I'd like to see a marker put up where the unroom is, where Rockaway vehicles were
Mhm.
first assembled, and then obviously the circus house. But Someone says, which comes first, the restoration or the signage? I said sometimes signage comes first, and that puts enough psychological impetus on people to show some pride.
But it's not a registered designated historical site yet, like we have the cemetery and other places. Would that encourage it to be better to get this grant and all that stuff? Would it add to it if it didn't have that designation?
Not at this point. By the time Martin got everything through, that's why we're having a special meeting now to
Yes.
get this grant in on time
But it can be part of the package down the road then, or consideration.
for different items maybe, but not for what we're discussing tonight.
And the Pomeroy Foundation has a cycle of opportunities for different regions. I think like we're region 9, I think. And that may be coming due this November for anybody around here who wanted a mark. I thought somebody wanted my assistance to get one put up where the old schoolhouse is in Lower York. But I haven't heard anything from the parties that first approached me. But there'll be another cycle. There will always be an opportunity, region by region. So we'll get our chance.
Okay. Last call. Anybody else? We've heard a lot of for, anybody against? No? All right. At this time, I'm going to close the public hearing. And we will open it up for discussion among the trustees.
I'm
Dan,
gonna read the resolution first.
all right, yeah, Dan, go ahead and read the resolution.
Village of Homer, Restore New York, Round 6, resolved, the village board of the Village of Homer finds that the proposed project at 61 South Main Street, known as the Circus House, is consistent with the existing local or regional plans. The proposed financing is appropriate for the specific project, and the project facilitates effective and efficient use of existing and future public resources so as to promote both economic development and preservation of community resources. And the project develops and enhances infrastructure and or other facilities in a manner that will attract, create, and sustain employment opportunities. Resolved, that the mayor of the Village of Homer is hereby authorized and directed to file the application for funds from the New York State Empire State Development Corps under the Restore New York Round 6 program in an amount not to exceed $2 million, to authorize the mayor of the village to sign said application on behalf of the village, and upon arrival of said request to enter into and execute a project agreement with the state of such financial assistance of the village to the Village of Homer. Further resolved, that this resolution shall take effect immediately.
Kevin? Thoughts?
Just reiterating things that people have already mentioned. And I was talking to some residents and my daughter was really just the other day is, the linear park, the potential there is unlimited. It's gonna be beautiful. We already know that. But when you're driving down through there and you get hit with the circus house and as a gateway, this is just awesome. I just can't wait till it comes to fruition.
Ed?
I think this is a great opportunity for the village and the owner to get this circus house fixed up and going. It's a great opportunity. It shows it's right in a great spot between Homer and Cortland as an entry. And if you have something nice off of exit 12 there, that could be like a Taste in New York or a welcome center, or maybe the Chamber of Commerce can do some stuff like that. It's a perfect location. It's a great looking building, and on the linear park, it's right there. We're jazzing that all up, and if we ever succeed in doing something in the park behind us or behind them, that would be just a perfect location. I'm 100% behind helping making sure the circus house gets redeveloped and fixed.
Thanks, Ed.
We've noted that there's numerous structures within the village, the Little White Church, the Inn Room, and the Circus House as priority structures of both historical and aesthetic attributes to the village. The ability, in my opinion, to apply for this would benefit all. So at this time, I'm going to make a motion to approve the village applying for the Restore New York Round 6 Circus House. Do I get a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right. Motion is carried. And I think we are done. So I will adjourn. Thank you, Ed. Say hi to Dee for us.
She's right here. She heard everything.
Dante,
She
did you have
kept me
anything for us?
straight. She
Yeah.
wouldn't give me any more beer.
I think Dante would have said something if we were missing. Dante?
Yeah, did you have a question for me besides the beer? Which I don't
No,
condone, before you take any important votes.
no, did you have anything for us besides that?
No.
All right,
Just a motion then to close the hearing or close the whole meeting.
I make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
See ya.